Horizon is a game that revolves around humanity grappling with impending doom, the aftermath of an apocalypse, dealing with death, and holding on to hope for the future. So why and how is it sexist? I don't think it's a huge problem, but it is definitely something that I have noticed and want to talk about. For me, it is clear that one of the goals of this game was to incorporate elements of feminism into the story and create a strong female lead. This in itself is not a problem at all. I'm all for the inclusion of remarkable female characters. The Last of Us 2, for instance, is one of my all-time favorite games. Both Ellie and Abby are greatly written characters. So, what went wrong here? You see, every woman in the game is depicted as exceptional. They are kind, strong, intelligent, independent, and resourceful, capable of everything. So where's the problem? Well, the problem lies in the fact that when I say every woman, I mean precisely that. Every single one. There are just no negative female characters in the story. There is only one woman throughout the entire game whom I can't describe as outright positive. And she isn't portrayed as evil or a villain. She's simply unpleasant.
Answer!
I've done only what you asked.
To raise it, yes. We said nothing of love.
Enough.
Yet, even she eventually has a change of heart.
Aloy, forgive. Forgive!
In contrast, nearly every man in the game is portrayed as either just generally a bad person, exhibiting qualities like greed, bloodthirstiness, and wickedness, or men are depicted as unintelligent and inept, incapable of achieving anything without the assistance of women, particularly Aloy. Even when men are initially shown as well-intentioned and helpful, it typically leads to them using, betraying, or deceiving you.
An opportunity? That's what it was to you?
Yes.
I believe the writers miss the mark when it comes to the concept of a strong female character. Instead of creating well-rounded and complex female characters with their unique strengths and flaws, it seems they lean towards an approach where all women are idolized as near-perfect figures. Obviously, this approach leaves all even slightly ambiguous roles to male characters. At times, this contrast becomes absurd. The main antagonist among the old ones, who instigated the apocalypse and abstracted efforts to preserve life, is a man, while the main character who opposed him and tried to save the Earth is a woman. In the current era, the primary cultist aiding the evil AI in its quest to destroy the world is a man, and the central character who challenges him is Aloy, a woman. Even the benevolent AI designed to save the world and rebuild everything is portrayed as a woman, while the malevolent AI aiming to eradicate all life is a man created by another man. There is nothing inherently wrong with the stories that follow this pattern, but it becomes problematic when it is every story, when every quest revolves around women stopping men and saving everyone. It can feel excessive. Another problem is that even this approach could have potentially worked if there was an explanation within the game's world for such a dynamic, such as a society where, for some reason, all men have become oppressive villains, forcing women to unite and rescue everyone. However, in this case, it is a typical society with no such background or any other explanation for this consistent gender dynamic. Not every male character in the game is portrayed as negative, yes, but even when portrayed positively, they still are pretty flawed. They make mistakes, they have questionable pasts, and they are ambiguous. One male character that stands out and is memorable in Horizon is Erend, but even he isn't established as an equal to Aloy. Quite the opposite actually.
When we met, I thought I was a big shot talking to a pretty girl hidden away in the middle of nowhere. And now I see that I was just lucky to get a minute of your time. Try not to forget about me while you're out there changing the world.
He is depicted as a foolish, gullible drunkard who is reliant on her help.
So you're alive. We should celebrate. The drink's on me.
The main questline centered on Erend revolves around saving his sister, who is a more competent war chief than he is, as Erend struggles to fill her shoes, highlighting his inadequacy.
Now I'm supposed to fill her shoes. And instead, here I am, stumbling around in them.
I think it is important to explain that I don't consider Aloy to be a bad character. She's actually quite remarkable. However, I believe she could be even better if the game didn't continuously emphasize her greatness by directly comparing her to male characters and highlighting how she excels in comparison to them.
So far, your theories are better than other people's facts.
Then the rest of my life will be lived in your debt.
You did. You did the service.
I'll make sure it never happens again.
This gendered approach is unnecessary. In conclusion, I would say that the game exhibits sexism towards both sexes. It suggests that strong and empowered female characters can only exist if they are portrayed as flawless and superior to men.
Give us a moment, Uthid. Girl talk.
Which is also unfair to men, portraying most of them as either immoral or incompetent. If you can create a strong female character without putting down men, that's just bad writing. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed what you saw, please consider liking and subscribing. It is very important to me and you'll help out a lot. This video was just a slice of my comprehensive retrospective review of Horizon Zero Dawn. If it is finished, you can watch the full review here. Otherwise, watch another slice right here.